There are many reasons why the Scouring of the Shire is important to the text, and many reasons why cutting it, at least cutting it the way they did, was detrimental to the story. So many reasons, in fact, that I think it's time for the first ever D-list in a D-list. Here are the top 4 reasons this movie screwed up by eliminating the Scouring of the Shire. Number 1-4. It is the essential finale of the Hobbits Ark. So 2 things are true when the Hobbits return to the Shire. 1, they have been changed by the horrors they face and find it challenging to go back to a normal life. 2, they are now prepared to handle any conflict they face. To the movie's credit, it captures 1 really well.
I felt that it actually was what Tolkien had in mind, and I wanted to dramatize it. And one of the things that just about all veterans of the First World War talk about is the sense of coming home to their families and their village. They've been thoroughly changed by the experience. They've gone through horrors that they could never describe, and they literally couldn't talk to anyone about it, so therefore nobody understood. And the only people that understood were those other friends that had been to war.
That part, that's all great. 10 out of 10, no notes. But what gets lost is the Hobbits' newfound strength, their growth. The Hobbits have faced real evil in the world, and now the petty squabblings of the Shire are a piece of cake for them. Now even Saruman, once the most powerful wizard of them all, is no match for them. The movie covers the loss of innocence from their adventure, but I don't think it properly covers the gaining of wisdom and experience from their adventure. The only positive things they seem to gain from their quest are Gondor bows to them, which, yes, this scene does get me every time, and also Sam gets the courage to propose to Rosie. Speaking of which, number 1-3. It establishes an actual relationship between Sam and Rosie. Now, I'm not saying that either version of Rosie Cotton, movie or book, is exactly the most fleshed out character. Either way, her purpose is pretty much to fawn over Sam, but the Scouring shows, actual reasons that she'd be into Sam. In the book, Rosie implies she was actually always into Sam and just waiting for him to get over his shyness, and she's all the more impressed with him now. The movie Rosie is nice to Sam, which I guess in movie language means into him, but it's certainly a flimsier basis for a relationship, especially compared to his infinitely better developed relationship with Frodo. It's no wonder people accuse the movie marriage of being another case of Hollywood no homo. In the book, we get confirmation that Rosie likes Sam before we're even certain that he likes her. Again, it's the bare minimum of groundwork for a romantic relationship, but it's a hell of a lot better than the movie gives. Also, couldn't they at least have kept the part where Sam and Rosie move into Bag End so that the final shot would have been of Bag End and not some other hobbit hole we have no emotional attachment to? Number 1-2. It shows that the Shire is not so safe from the outside world. I think what sucks most about the way they cut the Scouring is that they confirm that it didn't happen at all.
And if you look at the edit, we don't know that they didn't go into the Old Forest. We don't know that they didn't meet Tom.
No, but we know the Scouring didn't happen. When they get back to the Shire, nothing has changed. Or maybe some things have changed, but I sure couldn't tell.
It was intended for it to have been not quite as it was when they first left.
The way it's presented looks like nothing has changed. Old Proudfoot is still sweeping, just as distrustful as ever. It's a cute joke, but I think it fundamentally undermines one of the main themes of the story.
And I think Tolkien perhaps makes the point that the Shire isn't invulnerable. It just thinks it is. But it too should actually bear some part of the pain and the casualties of Middle-earth.
By showing nothing has changed, the idea comes across that if the hobbits hadn't gone on their adventure, they would have been alright, happily oblivious to the goings-on of the outside world. The fight would never come to their doorstep, and that just goes against a core theme of the book and the movie. The Shire is not some eternally safe, protected bubble of Middle-earth just because no trouble has come there yet. I mean, it is protected by the Dunedain, and when they all went away fighting Mordor, it made it easy for Sharky to slip in, but it's not just naturally safe. It takes work to keep evil out of the Shire, and it's not so impossible for evil to slip in. the ending just makes it seem like the Shire was never really at that great of a risk. Now granted, maybe I'm misreading the gag. Maybe the point isn't the Shire would have remained ignorant of the outer world forever. Maybe the point of the gag is, boy, that sure was a close call. They don't know how close they were to getting taken over. Had the Fellowship not intervened, this blissful ignorance would have been threatened.
It is what will come to pass if you should fail.
But I still don't think that comes across particularly well. And it's just not as effective as actually showing the Shire affected. So if you're not going to show the Shire be affected, I would rather you just not show the moment they return to the Shire at all, so I can at least pretend that this all happened off screen. And the number one reason the movie screwed up in how they eliminated the Scouring of the Shire, okay fine, I understand why you cut it, but why did you spend so much time setting it up? I can accept that having this extended bonus climax after the purported goal of the trilogy might have felt like odd pacing for a blockbuster movie to the average audience member. So why did they leave in so much of the setup for the Scouring? There's a lot of foreshadowing to the Shire being threatened. A lot.
The fires of Isengard will spread, and the woods of Tuckborough and Buckland will burn. And all that was once green and good in this world will be gone. There won't be a Shire, Pippin.
And all of that feels undermined by the aforementioned unchanged Shire the Hobbits come home to. On top of which, they really amped up Saruman's role in the story. Arguably, the first two movies build him up as more of the main villain than Sauron.
Of course, what we did is we elevated Saruman, in a sense, to the villainry role. And kept the eye relatively a minor player.
Some obstacles are caused by Saruman in the movie that aren't really said to have anything to do with him in the book, like the Pass of Caradhras. In the book, the implication is just that the mountain itself is mad at them for daring to cross. Gimli claims the cruelty of Caradhras predates even knowledge of Sauron. But in the movie...
There is a fell voice on the air. It's Saruman!
No, dude, I think that avalanche was just caused by you yelling. Saruman's role is spruced up throughout the film. His first in-person appearance in the book doesn't happen until everyone confronts him at Isengard, a scene ironically that doesn't even make it into the theatrical cut of the film. Every one of the many appearances he makes before that are either relayed by Gandalf or just hinted at happening elsewhere. So with the amount they built him up, you would think defeating him would be the climax of the trilogy. Instead, they take a few elements from his defeat at the end of the Scouring, put it in the Isengard scene, and relegate it to the extended editions. If you were going to leave Saruman's defeat for the extended editions anyway, you could have extended it all the way to the Scouring. Yes, I realize there's a difference between doing a few additional scenes for a DVD and doing essentially a television episode's worth of story for the DVD, but come on! They even leave in the fact that Saruman has business dealings with the Shire.
Can't be.
It says
Longbottom Leaf.
This sets up his role as Sharky, a role that is never once followed up on. This was the first time we were getting a complete Lord of the Rings movie trilogy. We finally had opportunity for a film to pay off all its setups, and then it doesn't? What a wildly unsatisfying thing to happen in what was otherwise a very satisfying film-going experience.